Hi there, my name is John Fisher, and today in this tutorial I would like us to look at the basics of InDesign, how to create designs with InDesign. And this tutorial is aimed at people that are beginners, that have never used this software before. So it will be very basic and easy to understand, and in this tutorial we aim at creating a newsletter. So hope you can follow along until the end of the video so we can be able to work with InDesign. It's a very simple software but advanced software. So when you open up InDesign for the first time, it should look more like this. It may not be exactly like this depending on the version you're using, but it should be more like this. It should have something like new file or create new or new document, and then it will have also open here. And of course here it will have the different document sizes you can work with. They're very common ones, but if you need more, you just click on more presets. So when you click on more presets, you get something more like this. And here below will be the recent sizes you've used. And if you've never used any, you'll have on this one here, which is more like a default size. There are those you can find your saved presets here if you've ever saved any, but still you can go through those standard sizes from right here. Now, depending on the purpose of your document you're designing, you may want to choose one of these three, either print, web, or mobile. But today we shall use print. And under print, we are going to choose a size here. And since we are working on a newsletter, I'm going to choose A4, but you can choose any of these depending on the document you will be working on. There are many here, but you could also set custom width and height here for your custom sizes. For now, I'll stick to A4 size. And my units here, depending on those you're familiar with, you may switch them. Mine, I'll call them inches. I'll use inches. And up here, I'll give it a name. I'll just call it newsletter. You can give it a name you want. And below here we have width and height. Now since we've already set A4, we don't change any of either of these. Otherwise it will be a different size from A4 if you change them. Orientation, we have what we call orientation, and this can be portrait or landscape in this case. The choice is always yours as either the designer or the one they are designing for the document. So I'll choose portrait for this particular document. Page sizes, since we are designing something that opens like a booklet. When you're designing documents that open like booklets, always remember, most so if the intention is for print, to choose numbers that are fully divisible by 4, or that will be in additions of 4s. What do I mean by that? The minimum number of pages you can set is 4, but as you're adding on pages, you'll be adding plus 4s, plus 4, plus 4, plus 4. If I'm to set higher than 4, I'll have to set 8. If not 8, I set 12. If not 12, I set 16, just like that. So for now, I'll stick to 4. Why do we do that? It's basically because if we intend to print this document, we don't want to have empty pages in there, because if you don't set in additions of 4s, the moment you print the document, you're most likely going to have empty pages at the end of the document, which you may not want. So I'll set 4. Here there is a part that says facing pages. Now documents, booklets, things that open like booklets, they have what we call facing pages. We have pages on the left and pages that fall on the right. So always make sure if you're designing something like that, you have facing pages checked. In case yours is not checked, please make sure you do check it. The starting page should be, in this case, we have page 1, since this is an entirely new document. Primary text frame, this is a text frame. A text frame, these are what we use to input text into our documents. And in this case, the software is asking you, should we have by default a text frame there? I usually don't select that. The choice should be yours when you get to understand how a text frame works and the pros and cons of having a text frame there by default. So away from that, the number of columns, so set the number of columns you want for your document. Now for an A4 page, I usually set a maximum of 4 because it's A4 papers are not so big. Papers, if you set very many columns for small paper, you may end up with very tiny columns of text that may give your readers difficulty in reading this text. So in this case, I'll set 3. 3 will be enough for me. Column gutter, this is space between columns. I'll leave it to that. And my margins, 0.5 inches. This is relatively good. I'll leave it at that. Bleed and slug, I'll skip this for now. And just tap on create if all this is done. And you should be having an interface like this. So with this interface here, we do have tools on the left here. We do have some panels on the right here, and at the top here we have the different menus. And first things first, before we really dive into the designing, we are going to set our workspace so that it looks similar, more like what I have right here. Now at the top here we have what we call the workspace. And in the workspace, when you click on the drop down, there are different workspaces. Now, depending on every designer will want to use a specific workspace. But in this case, as beginners, I would want us to use Essentials Classic. Now, in the version you're using, if you have only Essentials and not Essentials Classic, you can stick to Essentials. But if you have Essentials Classic there, please select Essentials Classic. And after selecting that, we shall go back and then do Reset Essentials Classic first. So when you do a reset, you should be having something now similar to mine here. However, I'm going to collapse this part here, which is CC Libraries, as there's nothing much we are going to use with it as of now, but also it takes a lot of space and we need more working space. So I'll click on these 2 arrows to collapse it. But to move it a little more, I'll come right here and drag it all the way, just like that, and that's good for me. So we should all be right at this part here. Now we are only going to look at the basic tools, the most important tools we use for designing in this particular tutorial. And at the end of it all, we intend to achieve a design of a newsletter. So before I start working with the tools here, I'll scroll down and see if all my pages I set are right in there. So I'll scroll, and as you can see, we do have this is our page 1, page 2 and 3, and then page 4. As you can see, as you can see here, we do have 2 pages attached to each other. Why do we have these pages like this? This is what we call facing pages. Pages on the left and on the right. And someone might ask, how come we have the first page alone and then the last page alone? Usually when you're opening a book, consider these as covers for now. A book that's closed, it has the front cover, which is always alone, and then the back cover, that's always alone. And then the inside pages are always either on the left or on the right. So we have one on the left and one on the right. So basically that's how your document right now should look like if you've been following each and every step. And as you can see, it has columns in it. I set 3 as my columns. Now, depending on the number of columns you set, you should be able to see them here. And now I think we are ready to go into the tools, see how the tools work here. Right now, I want us to go through the different tools, the basic tools, the most important tools here, and I'll start with one right here. I should start with this one at the top, but since our canvas right now is empty, our pages are empty, some of the tools may not be able to work. So we should start with this one, which is the T tool. It's called the type tool. Now, every time you need to type anything into your document here, you have to use the type tool. Otherwise, if I try to type here, as you can see, no text is coming in. Things are just changing right here, simply because in this software, it's not like Microsoft Word where you open and start type right away. Here you open, activate the type tool, and then click and drag to draw a frame, a text frame where you want to type. So I'll do that. I've drawn that. Now I can type, and I'll call this design intent. So that's my text there. Someone might say that as the text is too small, the text is equally the same size as the default text size in Microsoft Word. However, the difference here is that we are viewing the entire page all at once, and yet in Microsoft Word you usually see bits of the page. As you scroll down, then you can see the entire page, but now we are seeing the entire page at once. So if I switch here, as you can see below here, we have a percentages here, and it's at 30%. If I switch to 100%, as you can see, the text is big enough. For no more body text, of course, not for the heading text or something. But again, now the problem is I cannot see the full width from my page, which I want. Usually we want to see the full width when it comes to design. You want to see how you're organizing things on the page. So I'll switch now to around, let's say 75% is good enough, so I can see my full width at least. And I'm going to, with the type tool still, click inside this box, highlight my text here. I want it to be bigger, because this is now the name of the document. So I'll highlight it and come right at the top here, increase the size. I'll give it about, let's say 60. Up here, you can increase the size, you can change the font type. By default, for Adobe softwares, the font is Minion Pro, but I'll switch this to a more common font, which is, I'm going to use Arial. I can just type in here to save time, Arial. So I have Arial here. I can say Arial bold. And of course, it's all Arial. Just the bolding is the formatting effect. You can italicize or do other things here. I'll set the size here to about 60. You can always type in the size. As you can see, they end at 72. But if you want a bigger size, you can just type in. I'll just type in here 67 and see. That's okay for me. Bold, if I want to italicize, I can, but I don't need it as of me. If you want, you can do that. On the right here, we have the alignment tools, and I want to justify this text so that it runs full width. As you can see, we still have some little space here. You can align left, right, center, but I want it justified, and that's good for me. And always, when you use any of these tools on the side, always, when you're done with that, remember to switch to the selection tool. Otherwise, you may keep recreating things that you don't want here. So, but before I switch to the selection tool, I'm going to change the color at least. I'll give it color blue. Here, please take note, we have two colors, the color at the top and color at the bottom, but we shall see the difference between the two here shortly. But as you can see, I've selected the one at the top for now. And I'll switch now to the selection tool at the top, the one that we skipped first. With that selection tool, the selection tool enables us to select any element within our page and also do certain things like move things, resize things. Now I'm going to resize my text box. As you can see, it's too big according to the text. So I'll come right at this point here, click and drag, and decrease the size to something like that. So now it fits well. It does fit well. And I can use still the selection tool to move this anywhere I want in my page. So those are the things that the selection tool actually does. I'm pressing Ctrl Z to undo the movement. So that's a shortcut for undoing. Ctrl Z. You should have come across it in other softwares. It's no different here. So with my text there, I can check out the another tool right now. The next tool. The next tool I want to check out is let's say we've looked at so far the selection tool and then the type tool. The next tool I want us to look at is the line tool. Now in design, many times you're going to find yourself wanting to use the lines. So this is the line tool. Select it and then you can draw a line. You can draw a line horizontally. You can draw a line vertically. You can also draw a line diagonally. Like that. These lines are there. They may seem straight to you, and they could be straight. But to ensure that you draw a straight line, we usually hold Shift. So I'll delete this again. Use Selection tool and select all of them just like that, and delete. But to make sure we draw a straight line with our tool active there, hold Shift and then you can draw. As you can see, that's a horizontal line, very straight. Vertical line, very straight. I'm holding the Shift button, please take note. Then a diagonal line, just like that. Holding Shift and it's straight. I may not need all these lines, so allow me to delete some of them. I'll delete those and then stick to one, this one here, the horizontal line, with my line tool active. Right here, I can increase the thickness of this line. As you can see, that's 2, 3. I think 3 is good enough. Here, I can change the design of the line. As you can see, there are different designs here. If I chose, I could choose the Japanese dots here, and that's it. I can change its color from right here. Now, this time around, I'm using the second color below. This is called the stroke color. The one above is the fill color. Now, since lines don't have a body, we use the stroke color. So stroke color, I will give it that. And I think that's good enough. I can move it using the selection tool at the top and place it right there. I think this is good. I think that's okay. That's my line there. And that's how the line tool works. Allow me go to the next tool here, which is the pen tool. The pen tool is usually used to draw shapes with straight edges and curves in them. And this is how it works. It works by creating points. With it, I come into my scene here and draw shape. I want to draw shape right here. I click and let go, then click into the next part where I want the next point, let go, click into the next part, just like that. Then if I want to draw curve, I'll click and hold. Click, hold, and drag either inwards, outwards, or sideways. So I want it inwards, just like that. And that's it. My shape is done with the pen tool. Now I can switch back to the selection tool, and the shape is there. If I wanted to fill it with color, I could give it color just like that. If I want to give it the other color, outer color, which is the stroke color, I can give it a yellow there. And I can increase the lining, the edge, by increasing here the size, just like that. And that's my shape there. Let me switch to preview because it has an inner lining inside here, if you can say. But if you switch to preview, now the preview button is below here, and that shows you exactly how the document will look like when printed. So when I click on it, as you can see, that's how the document will look like. You won't be able to see the columns because the columns act as guides. And there are other frames here we can't see because all of those act as guides, but they don't appear in the final document. So I've switched back to the normal view, and it's right there. Away from the pen tool, the next tool I want us to look at is the pencil tool. Now, the pencil tool is more like a freehand tool or freeform tool. It can draw those custom shapes, shapes that are not predefined. Let's say I want to draw stone. So I pick my pencil tool and I can try to draw my stone. Of course, it takes practice to work with this tool, but also I'm working at a high speed right now, so I may need to go a little slower if I want a shape to come out well. But basically, that's how this tool works. It can draw any sort of shape. It depends on your accuracy. So practice is what will make you good at using this tool here, the pencil tool. But for now, that's it. It draws freeform sort of custom shapes here. So I'll go to the next tool. Now the next tool here, please let's take note. There are two tools here. They look more like the same, but they are different, and they are used for different purposes. So here I can use the first tool is called the rectangle frame tool, and the second one is the rectangle tool. First, rectangle frame, the other is rectangle. So the difference is the word frame. So let's draw here using the frame tool. That's a rectangle, and even here, this is a rectangle. Do you see the difference? I'll use the selection tool to switch. So the difference is that the one that has the word frame in it draws shapes that have diagonal lines in them, and these are called frames. However, if you want to add shapes to your design, you'd use the second tool, which is just the rectangle tool. How different are they? I'll use here still these two buttons below, the normal and then the preview. When I click on preview, you'll realize that one of the two shapes disappears, and that's exactly what will happen in your final design when you export or when you print. As you can see, the shape is still there. The frame, you see, when I move the cursor there, it's there, but it's not visible. Okay? So that's why if you're working, you intend to add shapes to your design, you use the second tool here. But if you intend to draw frames, frames are usually used to bring in things like pictures. Every time we are going to be bringing in pictures here or other elements importing, we are going to use frames. So that's the purpose. That's the primary purpose of frames. And in this case, this is what I'm going to do for now. I'll switch back to the normal view and select this frame that has been drawn here. The difference between the two here, the quick one you can use is seeing the diagonal lines. Now with the frame here selected, I'm going to go to File, and then I'm going to look for Place. Here is the word Place. So when I click on Place, it will open up my computer. I use the place to bring in elements like pictures or photos. So I'll choose, I'll pick any random photo here. I'll go with this one and then open, and it comes right in here. As you can see now, if I switch back to preview, it doesn't disappear. Of course, you don't see the frame, but you see the image there. So I switch back to normal, but of course also the lines disappear the moment I bring in the image. Yeah? The diagonal lines disappear, which is okay. However, if you notice now, the image is not appearing well. Actually, it's not appearing in full. So what do you do when you bring in this image and it's not appearing in full? Select this image here, but make sure you don't click into the inner circle here. You just click anywhere else, but not in the center circle here. Right click, go to fitting, and then click on fill frame proportionally. Something like that. So you see now the image is entirely there, represented in there, and we are now good to go. Now back to this tool here, which is the shape. For the shape, if I wanted to give it color, I can give it a color which is yellow. And remember when I was talking about stroke, now we have the fill and then the stroke for this sort of shape. I can give the stroke a different color and then increase the size of the stroke from right here to 3, yeah, 3, 4. That's okay. That's okay. And so we have this. We have the shape, and then we have the frame that has a picture in it right now. These tools here, when you right-click on them, they have other tools below them. It's more like the same tool, but different shapes. So the ellipse is there. Right-click again, the polygon is there. So even on this tool, they are the same shapes, but different purposes, like I've said. And polygon right here. So I can use the selection tool to select this one, and then go to File, and then Place. The shortcut is Ctrl-D to place images. So feel free to use the shortcut. I usually prefer using the shortcut, just that for now I'm sticking to that long process so you can view exactly where it comes from. Now with this in here already, you see the image is not showing so well. I'll go right click on the image, go to fitting, and then fill frame proportionally, and I guess that's good. However, I may want to adjust my frame a little more to make it more circle. Actually, to draw a perfect circle, you also hold shift. To draw perfect circle, hold shift when you're drawing that shape. Now I can do fitting again, right click. Yeah, I think that's much better, much better. So those are the two tools here. One is the frame tool for bringing in pictures, and the second one is the shape tool for drawing just the usual shapes the way we draw them. Away from those tools, I'll go to the next tool, and the next tool I want us to look at is the gradient tool right here, gradient swatch tool. Now what does this do? I'll select something here before I do anything, the shape here, and the gradient tool basically brings in more than two colors into any element you will have selected. In this case, I've selected this oval shape here, and then I'm going to do this, pick the gradient tool, and then come inside here, click and drag just like that. Oh, sorry, the selection of the color selection was on the outer, so I'll select a color for the inside, which is black for now, and then click and draw a line just like this. You see? So this is more like a transition from one color to another. There could be more than two colors, but a minimum of two colors. So this moves from white to black. But of course, as it transitions from white to black, there will be more like a gray color in between there. But however, let's say we needed to change these colors and this is not what we want. I'll go right into here, the fill. Of course, now here we have it already applied to both the fill and stroke. But in the fill, I'll go here. As you can see, these are the colors I have here. They are not two colors. They are single colors for each color. So what we do, we go to this menu, the small menu here on the right, click on it, and you can create either new color swatch, a new color that may not be existing there, as you've seen the different color swatches we have, or a gradient swatch. And in this case, we are more interested in the gradient swatch. So I'll click on new gradient swatch, and this should pop up something like this. You can give it a name if you want, but that's not what I want right now, so I'll skip that. But you can always name it, the colors you're going to apply, so your gradient can have a name. Then we have type linear and radial. The difference between linear and radial is that when you select linear, colors will arrange themselves in parallel lines. When you select radial, colors are going to arrange themselves in circles. We shall see how the two work differently. But for now, we shall stick to linear and then come down here. You see we have these two small cubes here, one with white and the other with black, and those are what we use to select colors. I'll double click on one that has white, just click on white. And now it gives you these sliders, CMYK. So you can adjust the sliders to achieve the color you want. But we can also click on the drop down for the different options of sliders, RGB, or even swatches to select just colors. And in this first one, let's stick to swatches. I'll use yellow. And then in the black here, I'll go to RGB. And I'm going to adjust this sliders till I get what I want on this side. I'm looking for more like orange. So you adjust the reds, you adjust the greens, and then the blues till you get what you really want. And that's what I have there. And I think that orange is good for me. I'll click OK. And as you can see, our colors has turned. So we have that kind of effect. With that kind of effect, if I wanted, I can click the selection tool. I'm going to just duplicate this. I'll copy. I'm going to delete this. I don't need it here. I can delete this. I can delete this too. And then I'm going to right click here and paste. I have this circle here. So I have these two here. You can always go back and change the colors. But on this one, I just want to apply. Now what we have here is the linear sort of gradient. And I can go back here, double click here, and cancel. I'm just going to go back here to the drop down and the gradient, double click into this, And I'm going to switch this from linear to radial so we can see the difference it makes. So as you can see now, the inner color is yellow, the outer color is orange, which is different from this one here. This is in parallel lines. The orange is on the extreme right, the yellow is on the extreme left. So that's the difference between the two, linear and radial. And away from that very fast, let's move to the next tool, which is the gradient feather. Now, gradient swatch and gradient feather are slightly different. The difference between the two is that the gradient feather has some slight transparency in it. So when I draw a line into the shape, this is what I get. And as you can see, if I use the selection tool and move this right here, you see, I can see things in the back of this. Yet when I move this one here, you won't be able to see what's behind it. So that's the difference between the two. So every time you need that effect, you can use the gradient feather for transparency. If you don't need the transparency, then you use the gradient swatch tool. So away from those two tools there, gradient swatch and gradient feather, the next tool maybe we could look at is just the zoom. Pick this zoom magnifying glass like tool, click to zoom in on anything. You can zoom in. To zoom out, you hold your Alt key or Option key on the Mac and then click just like that. Zoom out, zoom in, like that. But of course, this tool has also shortcuts, which is the Control plus or Control minus. If I wanted to zoom in on a specific element, all I have to do is come to that element and click and drag something like this. Do you see what I'm doing? So my focus is going to be on this picture. And that's it. Zoom in. Let's say we wanted to zoom in onto, let's say what? This chair here. Click and drag right here, just like that. And you zoom in. Of course, now the pixels we've zoomed in so much that the quality seems like it's lost. But basically, that's how the tool works. To zoom out, Alt, and then click. So basically, that's it for the tools. And maybe what else I could talk about is here is the colors. You see, we always have two colors, the fill color and the stroke color, which we've looked at here, and they are always here. And the good thing with this is you can switch them at any time. Look at that. Switch them. But also you can change them when you want. Just double click on the yellow here, move it, let's say, to that, and click OK. And that's it. I think with those tools there, we now should be able to design our document. And in the next few seconds, we are going to start designing the actual newsletter. So I'm going to have to delete some of these elements I've put here, and then we can concentrate on the actual design. So I'll highlight this, select this, I click and drag around them with the selection tool, of course, active. And these are selected and press delete. I'll retain the word here, design intent, because I will use it for the newsletter in just a bit. Now let's get started with our newsletter design. You'll notice I've removed the line that has been here that I drew because I don't need it for now, but when needed, I will redraw it. I'll move this slightly down here. And before we start designing the newsletter, there is a very important feature called the master pages that we usually use for designing such documents that open like books. Now, where do you find that? On this right side, we have the panels that I talked to you about earlier, but we didn't check them out. And the first one at the top here is for pages. So we have pages, layers, links, and so on and so forth. But for now, let's concentrate on pages. When you click on pages here, you can view all the pages of your document. As you can see, I have 4 pages. So there's 1, 2, 3, and 4. So those are the pages I have. However, above them, there is what they are calling a parent. Now, in earlier versions, they used to call it a master. In other words, these are master pages. And what's the purpose of master pages? Master pages usually contain that information or those elements that you want to appear on more than one page. They may be all pages or most of the pages. So for those elements, we usually put them on the master pages. so that we avoid repeating ourselves over and over again. Now, what are some of these elements that appear that are supposed to be put on the master pages? In this case, one that is being called the apparent. One of the things that we usually put there is the page number. We all know page numbers are always on all pages, so we put the page numbers here. What else do we put there? We could put there the issue number. What else can we have there? It could be a logo. That may depend on you. We could put there some lines to demarcate areas that will contain certain things. We could have there the website address somewhere, and maybe the name of the company, if it's a newspaper, the name of the newspaper, newsletter, name of the newsletter, and all other elements that you may want to appear on almost all or all pages. So how do we get to that page? So when you open up this panel here, I want you to go to a parent or a master. That depends on the version you're using. This version is 2024, so it was changed to a parent. So I get right here and I double click on it, just like that. Now when you double click, two pages are going to open right here. I'll try to zoom, put it to 50 is a little big still, I think 25. Okay, so that's what I have actually. When you go to the a parent or a master, when you try to scroll down, doesn't matter how many pages you have, you're going to only see this one, these two pages here, and there are no more pages, and that's how you know that you're right on the a parent. If I had to go back here, I have to double click and I go back to all the pages. But when I'm on a parent, when I scroll down, there are no more pages, just two pages. Now that we are here on the a parent, let's first input those elements that we want to appear on all pages. I will try to zoom in right here around that. And here I'm going to put, for this case, I'll put my, I'll pick my type tool and I'm going to put right here. I think I'll put, should I put it here on the, I think I could put this on the, on this side and then right here, but I can put the company name. I'll just use the word company, and I can bold it and choose the the font I want. I'm going to use here Times New Romans, and I'm going to bold it. And size, I'll put it at around 14. 14 should do for me. I'll reduce the size of the frame, move this slightly down here. I think I'll put it to this. Should I put it here? No, I'll leave it here. So that's the name of my company. Now I can copy this and paste it onto this side by right-clicking and copying. And then I come right here and paste. It may not fall right where it has to, so I can move it by clicking it using the selection tool and move it right there. As you can see, the imaginary green lines showing you that this is in line with the other, so I can let go. So it can be there. If I wanted to add, I could add an issue number if I want, somewhere around here. I could just duplicate this. Now the shortcut, usually what I do if I want to duplicate something, you can copy and paste just like we've seen, but you can also hold Alt on your keyboard and then click and drag. So you see that? It has made a duplicate, and it has made a duplicate also here. Now you may ask yourself why I did this and then this. In these pages, if you want elements to appear on all pages, you have to, what you do on the left page, you also do on the right page. What does that mean? That if I put the word only on this side, it will appear only on the pages on the left. As you open your document, it will be only on the pages on the left. But if I do also this, it will appear on the pages on the left and also on the pages on the right. So here, I want this to be my issue number. I'll just put it there. Issue. I'll just put the word. I won't put, so I can copy this into here and then paste the same text. So that's my issue number. And then in between here, I think I'll have a topic, as for every page, every 2-3 pages, the topic may change. So I could have a box for the topic, and for this I could draw a rectangle frame, something like that. And I'm going to give it a background color. I'm going to give it a background color, which is blue. So like we saw earlier on, our fill color is found here. So I'll give it a blue. I'm going to use the selection tool, hold out and then click and drag so that it can also appear on this side there. So on top of this will always be the name of my new of the topic that will be discussed in that particular page. And I guess with that we are good to go. I can proceed. I think I'll draw also a line below here to separate these elements above from the actual content of the page. So I'll pick my line tool here and then come right onto this, into this corner. Hold my shift to make sure the line is straight, and that's done. That's my line. I'll make it a little thicker. I'll give it about a 2. 2 should work. 3 seems a little big too. So with that, I go to the selection tool. I can hold out here and click on it so that I duplicate it and then bring it also to this side, this page on the right, and let go. That's it. I could do, I think that's okay. That's enough. For now, we can do preview. I can use the preview tool here so we can see what we have so far. And that's it. Issue number on the other side, on this side, and then the company name right there. So what's lacking here is, I can go back to the normal, is the page number. Now this is how we input the page number. Please take note of the process, as it's different from just typing in text. Remember, we are on the A parent or the master page. So you're not inputting a number, a specific number that you know, like number 1, number 2, number 3. So this is the process. Please take note. Use the type tool still. Then draw your text box right there. I want my number in the center. Some put it on the left, right of the page. It really depends on what you prefer. You can now, with that done, box, I'm going to right click inside the box and follow these steps, please. And then go to insert special character, go to markers, and then say current page number. And as you can see here, all we got is the A. I'm going to change the font type to Times Bold because that's what I want. I'm going to increase the size slightly at around 14. Could do 18. Okay. So 18, and I'm going to try and center it, align it, center. Please note, this looks like A, but it's not the usual A, so don't be tempted to type in A, as the process won't work out well. So with that done, remember what I just said. What we do on the left, if we want it on the right too, we also do on the right. So I'm going to just press Alt and click and drag to try and duplicate it. So we have A on that side and A on that side. And for now, I guess that's all we need for our master page. So from the master page, this is what we are going to do. Go to pages again, pages panel here, and double click on page 1 to go back to our normal pages. So when I go to page 1, this is what I see. I see issue number and then the company, and then I have this background here. I do have, this was already there, you remember on page 1, but below you see, now we have page 1, number 1. We have number 2, we have number 3, number 4, and if there are more pages, still it will show. So that's how simple this makes design, the future of a parent. You do it once and then it will appear on all pages of the document. So we have all of them here. So now that that's done, we have the page numbers and everything. We are going to start designing our front page here. The front, more like the cover, the front page of the newsletter. And now that we have these elements here, just look at this. All elements are added using the A parent or the A master page. They can't be edited from these pages here. You can't move them, you can't edit them. As you can see, even this can't move, but I can still move this text because this text here was created from page 1. On all pages, they can't do what? They can't be moved. So what do we do? What do we do to move them? Because on the front page here, usually we don't even have a page number. But also the company name. Instead of the company name, we may want to use the company logo. The issue number, we still may need it, but we may put it in a different position since this is our front page, and then rearrange certain things. Now the topic background here, we won't need it, so we need to remove it too. So this is what we do. To remove these elements from page 1, we go back to Pages panel here, right click on page 1 here, right click on page 1, and then look for override all parent page items, or override all master page items. So it can be, depending on the version you have, it can be master page items or parent items. So I'll click on override all parent items. And when I do that, now, fun enough, these things can be moved, can be edited, and even deleted if I want. However, they still can't be moved on other pages because we are overriding them only on one page. So that's how we override these items. And for this particular shape here, I'm going to delete it. For the company name, I'll delete it. The issue number, I think I'll stick with it. For the meantime, I'll have it here, around there. The page number for the front page, I don't need it there, so I'll remove that. With that done, I will continue with the now specifically designing the front page. And the first thing I'm going to do right here, we still even have lines here, a line, this line here, if you remember it. I will delete it because here I don't need it. Now what I'm going to do next, I'm going to bring in my company logo. I'm going to have the logo here. I'm going to have the issue number around here, and then I'll have another text. I'll just add some other text around here. So, okay, like that. So to bring in the logo, my logo is in a PNG format, which is a picture. Remember, when bringing in pictures, we use frames first. So I come here to the rectangle frame tool, activate it, come inside here, and I'll draw a rectangle where exactly I want my logo to appear. I'll just like that, that's enough. And then go to File, and then Place, then look for my logo where I kept it. I organized all my elements in a folder on the desktop, so I'll be picking them from there. My company logo is here, select it, and then press Open. Now it has come here, but as always, sometimes they don't fit, sometimes they fit. So I'll try to do some fitting. Right click on it and do fitting, fill frame proportionally. That, as you can see, is not working out well. I'm going to adjust the frame size to something like that. I think that's okay. Now I'm going to do fitting again. Now I'm going to try the second option and see how it comes out. That's it. For the second option, that's how it's coming out. Am I happy with it? Not bad, but I need a little more filling in. So I'll adjust the frame and then do it this again. Still not coming out well. So I think I'll stick to that. I'll go with that, and I'll have the issue number here, and I'll just increase the size of this to edit my issue number. Actually, for my logo, I'll just cut off this. I'll leave it at that. I want it to appear like that, but of course, if you make sure if it's your normal logo, you don't cut off this. This is just a dummy, so I could just cut off certain things from there to suit my purpose. So that the word company should be your company name, I'm assuming, if you're using the real logo. So issue, I'll call issue this issue 01, and I'll add the month and year in which it was released, and I'll put something like April 2024, something like that. And I think I can do some alignment here, center it. I can also bring into this text something like typing. Special edition, and do this, something like this. Increase the size of the text box till the text can match very well. I highlight and then center, and I could increase the size slightly. Let's see, give it about 18. Let's see how 18 comes out. And 18. I'll align right this word here, so it falls apart. Issue size 18 doesn't seem to work well for this. It's not fitting as I would wish it to, so I'll put it to 16 and see if it works well. Yeah, 16 works, so I'll make this 16 too. Oh, sorry. 16. That's it. That should be good. Try to balance this around there. This one also around that. And we can do some preview to see how it looks like so far. So that's it. And I go back to normal. What I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a line below here just to separate the upper part from the lower part here. Just draw a line here. Hold shift. Make sure it's straight. Like that. Increase the size here slightly. 3 should work for me. And from that part, I'm going to bring in now this part here and place it right here. And I'm going to change this wording to something like I'm going to first of all change the font type, and then also change the actual wording. I'll call it newsletter. And that should do it for me. I'm just going to do some more styling here. I'm going to highlight this part of the word there and then give it a black color just for design purposes. And so that's it. This blue, I think I'm going to be using this blue here, the rare blue, this one here. So how do I pick that color? How do I pick that color? I'll double click into the color a bit here, and then I I can pick this eyedropper. You see there is this icon here, and I can bring it right here to choose this exact color that's from the logo, and that's it. And then click OK. So the blue here matches the blue there, which does give it a good look. So back to my selection tool, what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this line downwards, hold Alt and click it, and then drag it down just like that. So we can switch back to the preview mode, and that's what we have so far. So far, that's what we have. And let's proceed. Let's proceed with our designing. So sorry about that. So what we are going to do next here, switch back to the normal view and start to bring in our actual content. I'm going to bring in some images. I'm going to bring in text, yeah, for this lower part of the page. And I'll start by drawing frames. Like I said, as you bring in images, we'll bring them in using frames. So I'll draw a frame there for an image. I can draw another frame around here for another image. Of course, depending on how you want to structure, how you want your images and text to align. So I'll draw something like that, and then I'm going to pick another line here. I'll just duplicate this that has already been drawn, take it down. So somewhere around here. So with that, I'm going to bring in an image for this box right here. So what I'm going to do with that box selected, go to File, Place, and then let's look for a picture that can work there. I think this will work for me in that part, and then I place it right there. And right click, do some fitting, fill frame proportionally, and that's it for that image. And I could add some text here. Some text here. I'll add the heading first, which is something like could be some information about something like that. And I can change the font as I wish. Times New Roman Sport. Since it's a title, a heading, I can give it a bigger size. Something like that. 14 should be able to work well. Decrease the size of the frame every time you input the content you want to put, and that's all. Please try to reduce that text frame size so it can fit along. So below it, I'll add some the body, the actual now content, the actual text for this. Now, this text, we usually assume that as you're designing, all the content is already prepared. The pictures are ready, the text is ready, and all you have to do is lay them into your design. So I already saved some dummy text here. It doesn't make a lot of sense, but just assume that this is the content I've been provided with to design the newsletter. So with that open here, text, I'll just copy something little here, copy, and paste. So I've pasted that text. It doesn't seem like it's fitting well. Now, how do you tell that the text is not fitting? Of course, you can read, but even before you read, every time you see this red sign, the plus, like the cube with the plus in it, just know text is not fitting somewhere in one of the boxes there, and always you'll get this circle, red circle below, which shows one error. I could reduce the text slightly, the intro text here, so it can fit. As you can see, when I increase the size of the text box, the circle turns to green with no errors. So I'll just delete a bit of this text, like that, and then reduce the size of the frame, because I don't want my text to go past that, at least for this front page. And yeah, that's it. For this frame here, I'm going to bring in another picture. Go to File, then Place. Look for the picture you would like to use. I'll choose this or this. Which one? Let's see which works best anyway. So that picture's come in. Do our fitting. You right click, go to, let's say, fill frame proportionally. Not bad, not bad. However, this frame didn't reach this end here. Okay, yeah, the lining there. And I guess now that's fine. I want to balance this frame with the text below so they can be on the same line, do some more fitting. Yeah, and we should be good to go. Now, sometimes you want to balance the image within the frame. Now, the reason you remember earlier on, I told you not to click into the circle. Now, when you click into the circle, you have the capability of moving the actual image and not the frame. Look at this. You see, I'm moving the image within the frame. So I'm trying to balance the part that I need focused on. And when that's achieved, I can, yeah, let go and then click outside. And you see, always you'll have this brown lining to show you where the image is crossing from the actual image. So I'll click out, come back, click inside, and then do the try to balance. As I can see, click in the center. At the top, the image has moved slightly. Okay, that should be good to go. So that's it for that upper part. Then in the lower part here, I'm going to have some more content, and I'll first draw a box here. This is a frame too, but this now is going to act different. It's not going to be for a picture, but it's going to act as a background. It's going to contain the background color of that specific part, because I don't want this part to be white. So I draw that frame and then come right here into the fill color. I'll select black, and that's what we have there. The black variation is not doing it well for me, so I'm going to move it slightly so it turns to a little gray. And gray. I could move this slightly. So something like that. That will do it for me. And then from that, I can go to another part. As always, I told you, you switch elements if you no longer want to use them, but before I switch, I'll draw another box right here. Or I could just duplicate this to make sure it's the same size. Hold Alt and then click and drag it right there. And I can remove the color for this because I don't need the color in there. It's going to be a picture. And with that done, I could I can place a picture into this. You can go to File and then Place, and then I'll bring in this picture here, or this one should be able to do it for me. Something like that. That should work for me on that end. Pick another frame here. I'm going to do this. That's another frame, and I'm going to give it a certain color, which is this one here. So I'll pick this eyedropper tool here, click and drag it until it drops right there, and click OK. So that's it. Now there's another important feature you need to know here, that every time you place these elements into your page, so that so as to make sure you don't move them accidentally, you lock them. Now how do we lock? Like now this element here, or this logo here that I put here, I click on it like that, right click, and then look for lock. And you see it has got a padlock here. Sometimes it will show, sometimes it may not. But when I click on it, as you can see, it can no longer move until I unlock it. So I'll lock this to right click, lock, this one, lock. So even for background, since this is going to be a background of something, I have to lock it. Right click, lock, and even this one, right click it and lock. With that done, I could even lock this image here, and the rest. If you feel like now they're in their final places, in the way they need to look like, you lock them. Just a precaution so you don't move things accidentally. So with all that done, I'm going to add some text below here, and this text will be for the heading that will be above there. So I'll go back to my text tool here, text document here. I can copy something, copy, come and paste here. It's not fitting, I need it to fit well, but now it's more, so I can slightly remove some of it. Okay, that seems fine. Actually, I'm going to reduce it more so I can have some spacing here. Reduce the size of this box, yeah, so we can have some breathing space above here. And this particular one, I'll unlock it. I tap on the padlock to unlock. There's another way that I'll be showing you, hopefully, if time allows. And I think I'll lock it again. I'll lock it for now, and then bring in the type tool and then draw another box inside it. Now this box will contain the title, or something like that. And we can increase the size of this. So I'll do some alignment here. I'll justify so the text can look more organized. Even this one here, do some justification so it can look more organized. Something like that. I'll change the text color of the heading here to, let's say, white. White should do well. So that's it. And then I'll just have another title here. What could I have here? I'll just add something like, I'll just duplicate this and then I could figure out the kind of content. Oh, to Z, the alt of it. Something like that. I could have some text in here. I can copy this same text here. Doesn't it's not really a big deal. And so this is so far so good. We could just remove some of it, reduce the size of this, move this slightly down. This could add something like that. Text color. Text color should be, we can do white, which is paper in this case. And I guess this is it. For us, I could increase the size of this slightly. Could put it at 18. Oh, so as to fill the space well. And here we are with our front page. Of course, you can add in extra things. And I could do a box here, maybe to add a caption and I'll lock this, but for now I will not add a caption. I can preview. I can switch to presentation so we can see clearly what we have so far. And I want to believe this is a good basic design of a newsletter. The text in there may not make a lot of sense, but at least you see the design coming out. When you have already text worked on, images worked on, the logo available, you should be able to create something like this at this point. And with something like this, now all we are remaining with is adding content to the inside pages here. And in this particular tutorial, I'm not going to cover that. However, if you can design the front page of a newsletter now, you should be able to design the inside pages because they are much simpler than that, than the front page. As long as you can lay the images, you can lay the text. Here we could add the topics, the different topics for the different pages. Then you should be good to go. And with all that, after you lay everything perfectly, what we have to do next now is to save our document and then export it. So how do we save? You go to File here, and then you tap Save. So to save, you go look for where you want to save it. I'll go to here, right here, and then give it a name. Already we had named it newsletter at the start, if you remember. And then here below, you don't have really to change. You can leave it that way. and just click save. And the saving is done. So what we are going to do next here, we are going to export our file for printing. So now I guess we should export for printing. But before we do that, I think there is a very important feature in designing these documents that I should show you right before we go into the printing bit. I'll reduce this picture of mine just slightly so it ends there, just to create some space for me to show you a certain feature that's really important. And that feature is a paragraphing feature. So I'll get right into this text here. I'll zoom in a bit so you can see. I'll increase the box size here to create some space. So within that paragraph, what we are going to do is we are going to create what we call a drop cap. Drop cap, that's usually the big firstlet of the paragraph. It's very common in magazines, in newsletters, newspapers, and the like. So with my type tool here, inside this paragraph, this is what I do. You see at the top here, we have A, and this symbol here. A stands for character formatting controls that we usually see. And then we have the paragraph formatting controls here. So I can switch between the two as long as this T is active. And never forget where to find either. Because sometimes when you switch to this and you don't go back to this, you will come back and ask yourself, where are the fonts? Where do I increase the size from? So you always have to switch from this and this. So under paragraph formatting controls here, this is where we find the drop cap, and it's found right here. As you can see, we have the A with an arrow facing up and down, and then the A plus. Now the first A determines the number of lines the drop cap should occupy. That's 1, which is the normal, the way text is. And that is 2 lines, and as you can see, the L is occupying 2 lines. If I do 3, it will occupy 3 lines. If I wanted to increase this one below, now it works along with extra letters, which is not common, but it can be if you wanted. But for now, we shall stick to 1 letter, and I think 3 lines is enough for us. I could just to make sure I fill this part down here, I can just decrease the size of this slightly, bring this slightly down like that, and then my image here, I can bring it back down to around that level, and I think now we are good to go. Don't forget to save. Every time you make changes, you can save the incremental save. You can now just press Ctrl S or go here and do the save. And that's saved. Now let's do the exporting. How to export for print and how to export for web sharing. Now these are two, they're slightly different. So let's export the 2 versions. We shall just add on for, let's say, for web and then for print, and we shall see the difference between the two. I'll go to File first of all, and then go to Export here, and PDF, as you can see, Adobe PDF print here. I can do Adobe, since this is not going to be for print, the first version, I'll just do interactive. And here on the word newsletter, I'll just add web for web version. And anything else I need to change here? I don't think so. So take note of where you're saving your document, and I'll click OK. This pops up like this, and it will ask you pages you want exported. All is usually the option, but you can also select a range of pages if you don't want all to be exported. Compression, this is for web, so it's saying lousy, and of course the quality is medium. As you can see, you can increase it, but medium should work well. If it's for web sharing, it's okay. Resolution 72p for web sharing, that's also okay. So we may not have to change a lot of things here. We shall just do export. The document is using CMYK blend space. Colors are converted to RGB in interactive PDF. Now this is aimed at web, and that's why it's changing this from CMYK, as CMYK is meant for print. So it will go to RGB, which we shall say is okay. So it will generate our PDF, give it time, generates. It may automatically open like mine has done. It may not automatically open, which is also okay. So mine is here, as you can see, the front, page 2 here, page 3, and page 4. Of course, these are empty. So I'll just go back so I can export the one for print. File, export. This time round here, make sure you select print. And here on the word newsletter, I'll add just print. Print. And then click save. When this pops up, pages, now all, as you can see, we have even more options here. Quality, high quality, since it's print. And here, compression size, here, image quality, as you can see, it's at maximum. And that's good enough for print. Marks and bleeds. Now, marks and bleeds, these are usually used for the printer to test, to understand where exactly the page ends and what to print and not to print. So I'll just check it. Usually for print, the final version to be sent to the printer has to have this. So you can click on this to check all of them. Use document bleed and slide settings. You could say yes. I can eliminate that for now since we didn't set them. Then do export. Now when the export is done, we should have it in our folder. I don't know if it's done yet. Yeah, but it's here. As you can see, the newsletter print. The other one is for web. Let's see the print version. So this is our print version. Every time you do a print version, you're going to see this kind of signs on top, and these are outside the page. The actual page ends below them, but those are used by the printer, so no worries when you see them, as long as you export the print version. So this is the print version. Now the difference between the tabs, you can see this has these symbols on the sides, these colors on top of the pages, and yeah, that's it. And these marks for cutting, in case of cutting these pages. So as you can see, that's the difference between the two, but the rest should be the same. And that's our design. And with all that said, allow me to end here with this tutorial, and hope you have fun learning InDesign. Thank you very much.